My brothers, welcome back here to the Vitamin G segment of Warrior Wealth. This is the time and the space where we get to dive deep into the conversations of protection, production, and profit. Ultimately, the ability to make money, keep money, and grow money inside of your kingdom, your legacy, and your empire. Our intention here in the Vitamin G is to help lay down the principles for getting your mind to operate in alignment with the rules, laws, and the fundamental principles that back production, back profit, and ultimately the reasons why you might protect the money and the gains that you make on a weekly, monthly, and annual basis. So today's topic, we're going to review a little bit this idea of the pretender. We said that there are two different versions of you and I. There's a pretender and there's a producer. That our pretender and producer are at war at any given time. Pretender attempting to drag you down into the game of smallness when it comes to money, business, and production, and then ultimately the game of your producer, which is committed to ultimately expanding, growth, and eternally pushing your limits when it comes to who you are as a creator, more focused, importantly, upon economics. We declared that inside of these ideas of being a pretender and a producer, that there were principles that governed, not tools and tactics and techniques. Over time, tools, tactics, and techniques will change. They'll adjust. They'll become different. What worked last year inside of some new tool, new tactic, doesn't necessarily work this year. And what tool, tactic, or cool modern strategy that works today might not work next year. So our goal is not to align ourselves directly with all the new whimsy, high flashy, new fast, easy hack buttons to making money. Our goal is to align ourselves with principles that govern today, governed 100 years ago, governed 500 years ago, and principles that will govern 100 years from today. If we can build our financial empires upon principles, the tools and tactics become easier to understand. We don't find ourselves worshiping tools. We don't find ourselves worshiping tactics. We find ourselves actually aligned with principles and very unattached to what tool or modern tactic is available to accomplish the execution of that principle. But take a man who doesn't know the principles. Take a man who worships the altar of tools and tactics and modern hacks to making money, who finds himself hollow when it comes to principle-based production, and you'll find a man whose entire future financial plan is driven by the whims of men who actually understand the principles. My goal is for you to understand the principles so that you can be the man that controls your own plan. We said that our pretender operates from this place of scarcity and that our producer operates from this land of abundance. These two energetic spaces of creation affect everything that you and I are about. Our scarcity, closing our minds and our hearts down, not allowing us to see with long vision or even short-term vision. Oftentimes, our only conversation becomes one of survival today. And as much as survival today matters for you and I, and although I know and I acknowledge that in many times we find ourselves inside of this scarcity place, our hope is that inside of this, that the principles of abundance that are driven by producers, that abundant mindset and that abundant principle-driven producer that's in you, even in your weakest moments, even in the times when shit is not working out financially, that in that place you're able to dig deep and access the principles that will actually pull you faster out of the scarcity place that you're in, leveraging them from abundance. Today we're going to dive into a new set of principles, bringing you one new principle here every single week. This week we're going to discuss two ideas. The first is that of human life value. Look at these three words: human, life, and value. Let's talk about each one for a moment. Human. That's you and I. You're human. I don't care how much you feel like you should be perfect, you're not. But the human side of you that is imperfect, married up to the divine side of you, coalesce together to create the version of who you are being today. That human value inside of you, that second word, actually has inherent value. The Declaration of Independence here in the United States of America declares that there are self-evident truths that exist beyond man's laws and exist beyond man's regulations. Truths that say, inherent in you and I, born into this game called life, we harbor massive amounts of value. Now, that value found inside our human life is balanced out with another set of values that we find here also being human, that of property value. Now let's take a look at these two words for a second, property and value. The easiest place to look at the connection to this is inside of real estate. I look at real estate is property, or real property, real estate. Property has value. So I can look at my home and it can have a value linked up to it. The challenge has been is that most people, when it comes to making money, only understand property value. They look at an income and a balance sheet, and what they see on that income statement and that balance sheet is nothing more than a list of money in and out. And on the balance sheet of assets and liabilities, they see a series of real property, and they see the liabilities associated with that real property. One of the great tragedies that exists inside of modern accounting is the fact that most modern accounting takes into almost zero effect the actual impact of human life value on property value. This is a chicken and egg question for you. What comes first, property value or human life value? When it comes to a piece of real estate, is the value in the brick and mortar, or is the value in the person who desires to live in the brick and mortar? So these challenging conflicts ultimately create a lot of confusion, particularly for men when it comes to looking at why they would go about protecting anything that they're building. Also, it also confuses the conversation of what is the actual source of property value. Many believe that property value inherently has value in and of itself, and yet I'm going to challenge you in that premise with the following consideration, that all property value itself is literally valueless without human life value. So let's look at two principles. For the pretender, they operate from a place that says property value exists outside of human life value. That the things that we see around us, technology, cameras here in the studio, cars, houses, property, dirt, commercial buildings, software, they actually live in a reality that says all of this shit, these things, this stuff has value independent of human beings. That human beings are actually not consequential when it comes to the relationship of true assets. This property value exists outside of human life value is a perplexing reality, because inside the mind of the producer says that human life value is the source and creator of property value. While some would have you consider that property value can exist outside of human life value, here we take a stand with the exact opposite. The opposite that says that everything tangible in your life, everything in the property, real property world for you, cars and houses and businesses, and this studio is worth nothing without you. It's worth nothing without me. This studio does not make one fucking dollar without a human being. This means that this studio, although inherent inside of its mechanics, allows for the potential of massive amounts of production. The truth inside is, without me on the stage speaking into the cameras, without me having innovated with my teams the concepts and strategies around implementing it, ultimately without human life value, this studio is worthless. So here's the principle that we're left with in today's Vitamin G experience then. Is this battle between where is value actually found? Is value found in the stuff around you? Can any of the businesses you run actually have any value without people? Can anything in your world actually exist at any level without human beings to exchange with, individuals to market to sell to, and who can buy, individuals to run, delegate, and maintain organizations that serve other people? Brother, at the end of the day, I'm going to have you consider this. Human life value ultimately is the source and the creator of all property value. And it is only the perspective of a human that actually triggers any sense of fucking value in property at all. When a man gets confused by this, it begins to affect everything about the way he sees business. We live in a day and age where human life value is acting upon property value in ways we have never seen before. And not only that, property value has gone from being a real property, real estate conversation to being more of ideas and concepts that exist in an unseen world known as virtuosity. The virtual world of interaction and communication and on-demand technology. And inside of that place, what fuels it all are not computers, not fucking science. All of those things are the servants to the one true master of all property value. And that is human life value. That, brother, is you and it is me. The challenge inside of your life and your business is to realize that if you don't start seeing the world this way, you will devalue people and think that the value is in the stuff. And that is the fastest path to destruction as a businessman and as a man looking to build a financial empire. And so my question for you as we wrap up this vitamin G is this: where do you need to level up your human life value? Meaning, when you look around your world at the property value, if it is down, non-existent, or not operating from the place that you know it should, that your business is not failing because you have tactic problems, your business is failing because your human life value of your skill sets and your mindsets is low, that ultimately, in order to produce more in your world, you are going to have to become more, you're going to have to do more, and you're going to have to suck less. And so, my question is simple. Where do you need to level up your own personal human life value when it comes to the relationship you currently are experiencing with property value? My brothers, enjoy this question, and I look forward to seeing you on our next episode of Vitamin G here in the Warrior Wealth Experience.